Hey everyone, and welcome back to Storytime. In this video, we're going to be looking at the subreddit r/todayimessedup, where people talk about those moments that we all have, where we just do something ridiculously stupid. If you're not already subscribed, then please do hit subscribe below so that you never miss out on another video. But for now, let's sit back, relax, and enjoy some funny Reddit stories. Today I messed up by laughing in a guy's face when he asked for my number. This didn't happen today, it was actually a couple of years ago. I used to work as an attractions attendant at Universal in Orlando. I can't tell you how many douchey guys would make stupid remarks and fake hit on me while I worked there, but it was enough to make me think that every guy that hit on me was just joking around and being stupid. Anyway, I was checking seatbelts and harnesses when I get to this one guy's row. As I was checking his seat, he says, "Hey, I was looking at you from behind the gates over there, and you're my type. Can I get your phone number?" And I just laughed in his face because I thought he was joking. I mean, I threw my head back and laughed, and then I just gave him a sarcastic, "No, sorry," and continued checking seats. Well, as I was checking the row behind him and his friends, I hear him say in a really sad voice, "Guys, she said no." And I've never felt so bad in my entire life. This poor guy actually wanted my phone number, and I laughed in his face, which makes me look like the biggest brat on the planet. If I had known he was being serious, I would have politely declined and told him that I have a boyfriend. If you are the guy I laughed at, I am so sorry. Well, that ride wasn't the only roller coaster he went on that day. Today I messed up by putting a googly eye in my ear 12 years ago and realising it's still there today. When I was 7, about 12 years ago, me and a few of my buddies were playing pretend as spies on the bus home from school. Spies have that cool invisible speaker in their ears to contact people, and I thought it would be a good idea to use a googly eye that I had lifted from school in place of this speaker. The googly eye idea worked perfectly for a minute until I had pressed it too far in my ear, and in trying to grab it out, I pushed it even further in. I was kind of worried at this point and decided to ask my big cousin, who was on the bus, if she could get it, but she said you couldn't see it in my ear. I could hear it rattling, and it was very annoying, but being too scared to tell my dad, I stupidly decided to let it be for the time being. After a few days, it stopped rattling, and I assumed it had fell out, and that was the end of that. Skip forward to this Tuesday. I do kayaking at university, and got a big slap on the head with a paddle, and I was submerged underwater. After I emerged and pulled my boat out, I could hear a slight rattle in my ear. I knew instantly what it was. It's now Friday, and the rattling happens every time I turn my head, and I still haven't built up the nerve to go to the doctor and confess my unusual prosthesis. Can you imagine how dirty that googly eye is right now? Oh, this guy needs to go to the doctors and get that straight out. Today I messed up by jumping off a wall barefoot, attempting a superhero landing to impress some kids and breaking a bone. This story happened about a decade ago, when I was a 10 to 11-year-old girl, but I figured it would fit here perfectly. At the time, I did horseback riding and was on my first weekend trip to another equestrian centre. Being one of the younger kids at the time, it was important to me to impress the others and to be seen as cool. On our first evening, we were all sitting on a roughly 2 to 2.5 metre wall, which is about 7 to 8 feet, and one of the older kids asked if anyone would dare jump down onto the stone floor. I, being a people pleaser, volunteered and was the first one to complete the dare. Since I landed safely, the other kids soon followed my example, and with a few minutes, everyone had jumped down. As you can imagine, what I had done suddenly didn't seem so special anymore. So I brainstormed to see how I could stand out from the crowd. Suddenly, I had the stupidest idea that I felt was genius. I would not only jump down barefoot, but also standing up. Prior to this, everyone just kind of dropped down. So, feeling like an invincible superhero, I slowly took off my shoes and stood on the wall, feeling more and more eyes on me. Once I made sure that everyone was paying attention, I jumped as high as I could and attempted a superhero landing on the stone floor. Except this time, I didn't have a smooth or safe landing. I heard a horrible cracking sound and felt a sharp shooting pain in my right heel. Naturally, I couldn't start crying in front of the other kids and risk a bad reputation, so I pulled myself together and instead bathed in the brief glory of my daring jump. After a while, I excused myself and went back to my room. Let me tell you, the pain was bad. It was nearly impossible to walk without a limp, but I really didn't want to give it away that I had injured myself like a stupid kid. It didn't get better in the next 2 days either, so you can imagine how relieved I was to finally go back home on day 3. Finally, I could tell my parents how much pain I was feeling in my foot. Naturally, I pretended that I had an unlucky fall, Not that I voluntarily did a barefoot superhero landing. My mum took me to the doctor's, and sure enough, one x-ray later, the doctor determined that I had broken my heel and that a part of my bone chipped off in the back. To this day, I haven't told anyone the true story of how I really broke my bone. Today I messed up by mishearing what my teacher said to me. This happened to me 21 years ago. So, halfway through grade 4, my family and I moved from Texas to Colorado. To help me get accustomed to my new classmates and not be overwhelmed on my first day, my teacher had me come in early and sit at my desk while the other students came in. While I was nervously awaiting the arrival of my new classmates, my teacher walked over and gave me a warning. "Now, the girl in front of you is a dork. Please don't make fun of her." Hearing this, the 9-year-old me instantly came to this poor girl's defense. The teacher had just called her a dog, and I thought this was extremely mean. So I tried to help this unmet girl's aid by showing our camaraderie to the teacher. "That's okay, there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I used to be one too." After admitting this to my teacher, I was suddenly overcome with a fear that the teacher would think of me as a dork forever. Abandoning my plan of trying to help this girl, I quickly added, "But then I grew out of it." The teacher gave me the most puzzled look I have ever seen, and it seemed like she was about to say more, but decided against it and left. All the kids came in and sat down at their desks, and I looked up at the girl in front of me, and I realised I had misheard what my teacher said. The girl wasn't a dork, she was a dwarf. And I had just told the teacher I used to be a dwarf, but I had grown out of it. I'm pretty sure that they just unintentionally became the most clever 4th grader in history. Today I messed up by sending my son to school in his pajamas because I had misread Pi Day as PJ Day in a school email. Let's start off by saying I'm a single dad and my son is in kindergarten. His teacher sent out a message yesterday that said, "Tomorrow for Pi Day, we have a parent bringing in a snack." I had only glanced at it. 10 minutes later, I got a message from my son's mum asking if I had matching set of PJs for him to wear. I replied yes, and then never looked at the teacher's email again. Fast forward to this morning, and I dress my boy in his favourite PJs and take him to school. As I approach, I notice that no one else is wearing PJs, and my son is trotting around in bright red Spider-Man pajama pants. So I get him to the door of the school, send him in, and immediately pull my phone out to look at the email. I had to read it twice before I noticed that it didn't say PJ Day at all, but Pi Day. So I sent an email to the teacher explaining the mix-up and asked her to make him feel comfortable today. She said she glossed over it with the other kids and made it a non-issue. Luckily, there were only 5-year-olds in kindergarten with little self-awareness. So, sorry son, here's a little lesson on being different. Update. His mum picked him up and said that he immediately asked to call me to let me know today was not pajama day. He said that his teacher let him slide because he had enough classroom points, but he knows it wasn't PJ Day. If this guy was any older, his nickname would just be PJ Boy for life. Today I messed up when I forgot I had a passenger in the shuttle bus I drive. So this happened a few days ago. I drive a shuttle bus for a hotel. I take passengers around the area if they want to go to a nearby restaurant or landmark, and also to the airport. I'm talking to a group of 3 people, telling them what kinds of places I can drive them to. They decide that they want to go to eat. No problem. Right as I'm about to drive away, this 4th guy comes up and asks if I'm going to the airport. I tell him that I'm taking these people to go eat, but I can drop him off right after. He says no problem and promptly goes all the way to the back, because he has some luggage and there is extra space back there. So we get to the restaurant, which is literally about 3 minutes away, and I let the 3 people off. One of those 3 wants to tip me a few bucks, and I graciously accept, but he is thanking me and rubbing my arm in a weird way as he hands me the $2. So after they leave the shuttle, I start singing a goofy song about the encounter. It went something like, "Oh, oh, that guy was rubbing up on me, oh, oh." I'm sorry for that. Then I hear a cough from the back. I'd completely forgotten about the airport dude, and he just heard me sing this ridiculous song about some random guy rubbing my arm. I'm mortified, but I own up to it. I say, "Wow, I've never been so embarrassed," and he says, "Yeah, I was wondering what kind of song you were singing. I thought it might have been a real song I've never heard before." So we joke about it, and he gave me a tip also. Probably felt bad for me. Oh well, life goes on. When I was reading this, I really thought that the guy was just going to miss his flight because he got forgotten about. But alright, that was okay as well. Hey everyone, I hope you're all having a really good day and that you enjoyed that video. If you did, then please leave a like on it and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, let me know in the comments which one of these stories was your favourite. And thank you so much to everyone that subscribed, because we just hit 10,000 subscribers and that's an awesome milestone. So thank you to everyone who's subscribed. If you want to see some more videos, then click on screen right now. But for now, thank you, and I'll see you tomorrow.